Okay, just give us a second. Now, today's topic, today's little discussion is about an inside look into the reality of current job market. Yeah, that's why we are all on board here today now, together. Representing Osmium is myself, Saiful. So welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Representing Osmium Private Limited, I'm the principal trainer and the head of operations and training. Yeah, and Osmium, we are actually an approved training organization approved by SSG to conduct WSQ courses. So today's discussion, we have Steph with us. Right, Steph, she's the co-founder and principal consultant of Expert Solutions. Right, she's also leading the strategic HR solutions provider. Prior to setting up of her own business, Steph actually served as a progressive HR professional in the private sectors for over a decade. Yeah, so I think without further ado, let's bring Steph on board. Steph?
Right, today, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Today, we are excited to share the current in-demand skill and must know for rising above the current market situation. I believe many would agree that since the outbreak of COVID-19, their livelihood have to a certain extent been impacted. This could be in the form of loss of job, reduction in income resulting from furlough or pay cut. Meanwhile, unemployment in Singapore, which peaked at 3.5% in Q3 last year, continued to ease but remains above pre-pandemic levels. Despite these signs, analysts have warned that the situation may remain bleak. Weak employment prospects have spilled into current year. Employers are more likely to put on hold their hiring unless they forecasted to have pronounced improvements to their revenue. While economic indicators like GDP were to show signs of recovery or healthy signs of rebound, situations for workers in certain industries are not entirely bright. Most of the employers are likely to keep their workers by leveraging on the job support from the government. However, this is going to taper off. As per our Manpower Minister, Mrs. Josephine Teo, the country progress is highly dependable on how employer and employee are willing to embrace training and reskilling. Saiful will take us through some relevant causes for both employed and self-employed and how one will benefit from these causes. Over to you, Saiful.
Sorry guys, I was muted just now. Right, can everybody hear me now? All good. Yeah, thank you, Steph. Very insightful. So actually now we are just going to share with you guys probably 5 of the WSQ courses that we actually have and that has been running for quite a while. This is actually very much aligned to what the ministers has actually said and the current economic demand, yeah, for employment. So the first one that I want to bring you guys on will be the business continuity. Yeah, let me bring this up first. Just give me a minute. Yep. Business continuity, right? Learning outcomes for business continuity would be analyzing critical business process, systems, and stakeholder. Basically, for business continuity is always the plan B to any disruption to a business. Right? Having this at this current moment with this pandemic, this COVID-19, this is really very relevant to every single person who's seeking employment. The next one would be customer experience innovation. The learning outcome for customer experience innovation would be to analyze gaps in customer journey map. The new norm, we are now living in the new norm. Yeah, with this pandemic, going around with our masks, with the safe management measures in place. I think this is very, very much important that we actually go through, we understand what is customer experience innovation, what's expected from the customers, from us, the business owners, where we are providing services or even products. The next one that we have would be workplace communication. In workplace communication, the learning outcome, conduct research on best practices in workplace communications to adopt and establish benchmarks for the organization. And on this particular learning outcome, talking about workplace communication, this is so important, yeah, especially during this pandemic, where everybody gets very cranky, yeah, I think this is really very relevant for employers as well as for employees. What we have here, workplace communication level 4, WSQ workplace communication at level 4. These are for managers and above. Yeah, there are also workplace communication level 3. That are for the supervisors, level 1 and 2 for the employees. So I guess this is very aligned to the current demand, ranging from workers all the way up to the management. Yeah, and the fourth one that we have that we would like to actually share would be adapt to changes. This adapt to changes is this current moment, pandemic. Yeah, uh, adapting to changes. The learning outcomes for adapt to changes would be adopt suitable approaches and develop strategies for organization to adapt to change. A lot of organizations are now struggling to ensure that everybody actually on the right track, on path, yeah, towards providing the right services and also the products, without getting anything disrupting the business. So adapting to changes, the new norm is very much relevant. Last but not least, service leadership. In service leadership, learning outcome will be to promote customer-centric environment, to influence team to achieve service excellence and analyze the techniques and methods required. So I guess in this service leadership module, that is where everybody learns to be a little bit more proactive, right, in trying to achieve customer experience innovation, right, for a very wonderful and fulfilling journey for everyone, yeah, for our customers especially. This is where everybody learns how to lead by example. So I guess, yeah, these are the 5 causes that we have and we want to share with you guys. So while COVID-19 has impacted the new industries, some are actually thriving. Yeah, and I'm very sure that Steph will have the data, the information. Will you, Steph, now share with us what are the top sectors that may offer good prospect for job seekers out there?
Thanks, Saiful. So indeed, some industry are doing very well amidst the pandemic. So job seeker and graduates, listen up. Number 1, we have the ICT, Information Communication and Technology. As Singapore pushes for digitalization and the availability of jobs in the sector, particularly in cybersecurity, digital marketing, and data analytics, the pandemic has accelerated digitalizations across many industries. We could see hawkers and senior citizens moving onto cashless payment. The move towards digital solutions is inexorable, and the ICT sector is set to expand. The good news is that in the recent MOM job situation report, you do not have to be a technology expert. Apologies about a technical glitch. The good news is that in the recent MOM job situation report, you do not have to be a technology expert to be working in the sector. Aside from the tech specialist roles, such as software, web application development, there are also tech-like roles, such as the customer's successful manager and digital marketing specialist, which may be suitable for applicants without Infocom technology background or experience. Number 2, healthcare. Jobs like swab assistant, care ambassador, and patient concierge were created during COVID-19. Healthcare is expected to continue doing well, with vaccination distribution being a key factor driving the optimism this year. Without the pandemic, the healthcare sector is set to grow and expand to accommodate the needs of our aging population. Before the focus was shifted to COVID-19, elder care were the faster growing areas of healthcare. 3, manufacturing. While most people do not think of Singapore as a manufacturing hub, Singapore does have significant manufacturing capabilities. In fact, Singapore's largest contribution to GDP is manufacturing sector at 20.9% in year 2019. With the rest of the world still reeling from the recurrent waves of COVID-19, Singapore manufacturing capacity has been relatively unaffected. Manufacturing sector is projected to continue its growth, especially for electronics and precision engineering due to strong semiconductor demand from the 5G market. Last but not the least, finance. The finance and insurance sector averaged a growth of 4.7% in the first 3 quarters of 2020 amidst the unfavorable economic climate. With the issuance of digital bank licenses, a new digital exchange for cryptocurrencies, and a resilient property market, the financial sector has many exciting developments in 2020.
Yeah, okay, nice, Steph. Thank you so much for the insight. So now, are there any tips that you may want to share with graduates who just entered the employment market? Perhaps what traits should they actually work on or exhibit?
In my opinion, again, in no orders of importance, I would say the top few traits. I'll first go through communication. So employers understand the value of effective communication and actively looking out for this skill in potential employees. It is therefore important to show your competence in this area, verbally, physically, and through written communication. While responding via email, corresponding via email, always double check the message before sending it to ensure you are being clear and concise. Another key component will be to good communication is the ability to actively listen and provide thoughtful feedback. Therefore, it's important to stay engaged. Number two will be very much on resilient. This is important as it enables employees to cope with changes, problems, and stress. How does one overcome difficult experiences and able to overcome challenging situation? Third would be eagerness to learn. Employer value employees that actively seek to better themselves. So it's important to communicate that you enjoy learning new things. The love for learning is an indication that you actually recognizes that there's always more for you to learn. So during interviewing stage, you may want to share that you are an avid reader or aspire to further your studies.
Yeah, okay, nice. I mean, yes, perfect. Those are the exact traits that are actually shown by the current candidates or learners who comes for the WSQ training. Yeah, communication. I actually love the when you mentioned just now that they need to learn how to listen, because active listening is actually part of very good communication. Listen so that there won't be any miscommunication. Yeah. So and resilience, staying strong during pandemic, riding the wave, and you mentioned about eagerness to learn. Yeah, that's where WSQ courses comes in, where all our candidates and our learners are working adults. So learning is a lifelong journey. Yeah, Steph. So I think thank you so much for all that. I think right now, should we be taking questions from the floor, Steph?
Yes, definitely.
Are there any questions from our participants? Anyone?
For participants who have questions, feel free to drop your message in the chat box provided.
Steph, I think this is for you, Steph. What do you think about the biotechnology industry? This is from Angeline.
Thanks, Angeline, for the questions. In terms of biotechnology, it very much is a very broad area. So it actually touches on different aspects like medicine, biological. So if in the terms of medicines, I would say that it's related to healthcare. So it's definitely something that is looking very bright, having a bright future in terms of the industry itself. So are you a job seeker, or are you looking to, change your role?
Oh, while we are waiting for her to reply us, Steph, for this biomedical,
Yes.
could it also fall under manufacturing for the pharmaceutical that's actually around Tuas area, GSK, stuff like that?
So biotechnology has various career, one of which is definitely what you have mentioned in terms of manufacturing of medicine. If you're talking about the role itself, there are many different roles within a manufacturing plant for medicine. Some positions I could think of will be biomedicine engineer, lab technicians, right?
Thank you, Steph. Very enlightening, very enriching. Any other questions from the participants tonight? Does career switch by age restriction? So, Steph, this comes from Mr. Ong. Are there any age restriction?
Am I on mute?
No,
Okay.
you're not.
Right. Doris and Jack, thanks for the questions. As a recruiter, I do not think that there is any career switch by age restriction. So ultimately, it is what you are looking to achieve. What do you set to achieve in the career span that you are looking to, within the period that you set yourself to achieve. So no, I do not think that career switch is by age restriction. In fact, it is something that you wanted to pursue on your own accord, and definitely in line with your career objectives. Jack, what advice would you give to a job seeker who is 75 years old young? Wow. What advice I would give? I'm not at 75 years old yet, obviously. So probably if I were to put myself in that shoe, the advice I'll give is probably to find something that is fulfilling, that keeps you occupied. At the same time, because of old age, I would not foresee you to take on a role that is physically demanding.
Yes. Could I just add on? I think that at the age of 75, a person would definitely be so filled with, so full of experience, and skill set. So would it be safe for me to say that they actually fit better being a consultant, giving advice to a company, probably within the company? Yeah.
That's for sure an option, Saifu, in my opinion. I guess someone at 75 years old young definitely comes with a wealth of experience. But it's really up to the individual whether they are pursuing the role of a consultant, or they could be, easily contented as being a customer service telemarketer. In the event that their personality, they are actually open to speaking to people over the phone, meeting people, or so it really depends on individual. What are they looking to achieve, and whether that role itself helps them to fulfill themselves internally.
Okay, Jack. Hopefully we have answered your question, Jack. Thank you for the question. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah.
We'll take one more question from anyone. You're welcome, Jack. Why is it Google Chrome? Manish?
Don't be shy, guys.
One last question. We will take one last question. But it's not the last one that we'll take. We'll take it live now. One question. You have any questions? Yeah, Ivan, thank you. Even you have gone through a course for ICT, you may not be able to with insufficient experience. How do you see the job market change with more gigs and stuff? So we've got two questions. Yeah, Steph?
Okay, so I see that thanks Ivan and Paul for the questions. I'll answer Ivan's question first. So even if you have gone through a course for ICT, you may not be able to find a job with, is there enough experience or insufficient experience?
Ivan, you've got to type out or whatever.
Maybe Ivan, you clarify or insufficient.
Insufficient.
You may not be able to find a job with insufficient experience. So Ivan, I would think that this is very much based on a balance. So say that you have got no ICT experience, but you went through a course. Obviously, you cannot be applying for a more senior role in ICT without the relevant experience, like many others, we all start at entry level, right, or a mid-career, a mid-level role. So I believe it's really about a balance in this aspect. Okay, I hope that answered your question, Ivan. Paul, how do you see the job market change with more gigs and self-employed mindset? Job market change with more gigs and self-employed mindsets. I think the current trend for a lot of people now is that myself included, we are all looking out to build multiple stream of incomes. So that is why, on top of the full-time job that one may have, they may also take on side gigs, maybe have a side income from another role or even their own business. So how would I see the job market change? I would believe that from this, we can see that many people are prone to learning new things. They are open for new things in their life, and experience. So it's a positive things, right?
Mhm.
Okay. We have a long question for Jay.
No, this is from Esther actually. Yeah.
Oh, Esther.
Okay. Yeah. With the global pandemic and ever-changing technological changes in recent year, this has given rise to work from home trend. Do you think this will cause a gradual reduction or elimination of jobs in the next few years? That's the first part. The second part is also what kind of skill sets should we equip ourselves for the next few years to ensure we keep up with times?
Okay, I'll answer the first part, which is a gradual reduction and elimination of jobs. I would say that I mean I've read many articles. Many articles also pinpoint on the same kind of roles that are very, very likely to be eliminated in the next couple of years. The potential roles are actually cashiers. We could see in supermarkets, many of the big chains, the big boys in the market are actually having what we call the automated cash system. So where you just insert the coins or your notes or whatever into the machine, and they will just dispense the correct change to you. So that's cashier. That's also receptionist. Because since many of us are actually working from home now, and this is predicted to be continuing for at least the next year. Receptionist role are actually very much could be automated. And we actually, I think in the States, we have a what you call that, a robotic receptionist, right? That is something that is next in line that could be eliminated. I'll move on to the next question, also by Esther, which is what kind of skill set that we should equip with for our next few years. I think cybersecurity is good. Digital marketing, data analytics, these are the few roles that even though we might not have the relevant skill set, but we could actually take on certs or certifications to qualify ourselves for that. That would be helpful. I mean, it also reflects well that you are a good learner for your current employer. Thank you, Esther.
So,
Yes.
Steph, do you think we should take just one more?
Sure.
Yeah. See. Anyone has got anything for us, for Steph?
Hi, Steph. This is Ejin.
Hi, Ejin.
I'd like to ask in terms of the education sector, how do you see, because most of us are going online, how do you actually see this industry itself change in adopting new skills in ICT and also in adopting new skills in probably the more elderly one that can actually take on, like they need to be trained instead and to do online classes instead of doing the normal classes that they teach. How do you advise and how do you think, based on the current market right now, how should people actually re-strategize so that they can be hired?
You know, Eugene, this is a good question. So since the onset of pandemic, with working from home, HBL, and closures of education centers, many of them have pivoted the business to online. You know, it's quite amazing because I have my sons taking their Chinese class at home in front of the laptop. I guess many of them are actually moving towards that direction. Many of them are already doing that, and I believe as parents, we we send our kids for tuition, for enrichment classes. There's definitely growth potential in the business itself for enrichment, for education centers. How the education center could actually equip themselves in terms of technology skill set, I guess pretty much is going with the flow, making sure that we are all kept abreast in terms of the technology know-how, things like Zoom, MS Office, where we are then able to still have conduct tuition classes over Zoom, and even like drawing class or music class. Another one would be really very much about having a very conducive area, because I believe when you're conducting a class, you needs to be, I mean, it's definitely appropriate to be in a conducive area. So if so happen that your let's say I'm the teacher, but my place is very congested with a lot of family members around me, that's definitely not conducive. So I believe maybe in terms of the educational aspect, they could ensure that all the educators are actually equipped with the not just the right skill set, the technology know-how, but also very much in terms of having a conducive environment. If they don't have, then I guess as education head or education centers, the bosses should actually help their staff to achieve this very conducive working environment, virtual working environment, so that this, on the other hand, it will also benefit the child, on the other hand, who is receiving the enrichment program for. Yeah. So Eugene, that will probably answer your question in terms of education sector. Your second question was more on, was that elder care that you said?
Now, how do we actually ensure that the older folks who are also in this industry stay relevant and competitive to be
Mm,
hired as well?
mm. Okay, so definitely there are educators which are probably slightly older, but I believe as employer we should also be um, training them, making sure, keeping them in check that they are aware of the technological know-how, technological changes. While for elderly educators, they might, the one challenge that I see that they face is that maybe they are really not very well versed in terms of technology. So one aspect that the school could actually help them with is really give them a guided session to show them how can they improve their skill set on that, and have a periodic and regular updates to check in on them, because if they fail to catch up with in terms of all these technological changes, then probably in the time to come they might even lose interest in teaching and will eventually be losing or leaving the industry for good. So that is something that I believe in the educational sector they should be doing for the more mature workers. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks.
Right, very nice. I mean, everything that was shared just now, Steph to Eugene was very true to the current situation at the moment. We have all come into digital citizenship. For those of you who are not already aware, yeah. So there are a lot of causes out there. There are a lot of awareness programs that is being created. So I think to top up for what you have just now explained, I guess every employer should create a kind of awareness to every employees on this digital citizenship, getting people on board. And I guess one of the common ones now should be Zoom, yeah, MS Teams and such. So, well, guys, I think is that all for tonight? Have we answered all the questions that posed to us tonight, Steph?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, should we wrap things up?
Yeah, for sure. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Saiful.
This is not gonna just be a one-time off. Yeah. Okay. It's not going to be a one-time off. It's gonna be, you know, a series of program, right, Steph? Yeah. So I guess, yeah, Steph, you want to announce this for the
For
job
sure.
seekers out there?
So, bottom line, I think the key takeaway today is that whether we are an employer today or an employee, I think we should not be fearful about the current circumstance, but rather learn to adapt. Yeah, thank you for tuning in with us today. We hope to bring you regular updates and see you soon. Job seeker, you may check out our Facebook page for latest openings or scan the QR code to deposit your CV. Back to you, Saiful.
Yep. Okay. So I guess that's all for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We'll let everyone know again when is the next session. And great to have you guys around. Thank you for having us. Thank you for tuning in. See you again next time. Thank you and good
Thank you,
night, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye. God bless everyone.